Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you've had a great work week. Hope you're having a great Friday night so far. There is a lot to discuss, so stick with me in this video if interested for your specific area. There's severe weather to talk about for next week, potentially. The potential is there for a winter storm and some strong to damaging winds in areas of the Northeast. There's a lot going on next week, and we're going to try to break down each element of this, what day it's going to be for, what areas, and try to give you all the latest and greatest information here. I'm going to keep you updated throughout the weekend. So if you guys have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Like the video if you like it. That is definitely appreciated. It helps get the videos out there. So appreciate all the amazing support. I'm excited about the cold weather months. I love talking winter weather. I'm also a storm chaser, so I get out there and try to chase storms. Nothing I do full time yet, but hopefully one day. But thank you for the amazing support. Like I said, this is going to be a longer video, unless I can kind of speed through it a lot quicker, but I'm going to try to break down what's going on. But thank you for the amazing support, and let's get going here. So what we're going to start off is we're going to look at basically the European, the GFS, and we're probably going to talk more about the winter weather side of this first, and then the severe weather side towards the end of the video. So stick with me, especially if you're in areas of Arkansas, Louisiana, maybe areas of Mississippi, even Missouri, Oklahoma. Severe weather threat looks possible Sunday into Monday, so we're going to talk about that. So let's look at the latest European. The European getting through here. We're getting into Sunday morning. Notice some precipitation showing up right in this area, and there are Texarkana and things like that. And we're getting into the day. It's not going to show severe weather really right here. This is just precipitation, so it's basically going to show rain and snow in a mix. But this first system gets going here, brings a lot of rain, some potentially some severe weather right here. Like I said, we'll get more detailed on this here later in this video. This brings a lot of precipitation for the Northeast. For the Southeast, this does not look like a big rainmaker unless you're in western sections like Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, and points west. The Carolinas, this first system is going to kind of dry out first. This will kickstart some lake effect snow bands on the Great Lakes. But then we watch for the second system starts to develop really overnight through Tuesday into Wednesday morning. And there's two pieces of energy, and it really looks like the northern stream is the more dominant piece of energy, and it kind of leaves behind the southern piece of energy. But this is a highly amplified northern piece of energy. It gets going here, and I'll tell you what, the European is actually more progressive, meaning it's not as intense. It's not as amplified, but it's a lot colder. I wouldn't say a lot, but it's a colder solution, meaning it looks like to me that almost high pressure is bogging down the storm a little bit more. It's forcing a little bit more south, but there's a little bit more cold air to deal with. So therefore, Wednesday evening into Thursday morning, possibly, you could have some light to moderate, maybe heavy snow, really close to the big cities like New York City and Boston, and even getting pretty close to areas like Philadelphia and Baltimore. You gotta watch out for a little ice. When we get a little bit closer to this, we'll know there's going to be a legitimate ice threat here in southern areas of the Northeast and the northern areas of the Mid-Atlantic. We'll know more about that here in the future. This is still a little bit far out. Moving forward here, that system gets out the way, and then the European shows another kind of system that rides up towards the end of the run. And with most of the cold air right up into here, these systems are really cutting. But I will tell you, we've been talking a lot about the first half of December looking really cold. The models today have came in a little bit not as aggressive with all the warmth. So that's good news for people who want to be cold in the holidays like me. Look at the GFS. Same situation. Watch out for severe weather right in here Sunday into Monday. Moving forward here, that system gets kind of, I guess you can say, sheared out, strung out. That moves through, and then we get this second system, which is a lot more amplified per the GFS. It's a lot more warmer of a storm too, as obviously if you have a low pressure riding overhead, right over the big cities of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, the 850s will be roasting, meaning that is basically the lower levels of the atmosphere, but still aloft above us, but some of the lower levels of the atmosphere. It's basically a warm nose, so meaning you're going to get a lot of rain in the 30s. I mean, that's basically what that means in a nutshell. Now, if you got cooler airs, cooler temperatures aloft, you need that. You need to get well north of the center of low pressure and get away from the warm nose. That's obviously why you have more pink and more blues north of the low pressure, and then here's high pressure. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, as it looks like the GFS has trended maybe a tick cooler with this storm, but it's definitely trended more amplified with the storm. And the European has trended a little bit less amplified. Amplified meaning more precipitation. The good news with this for us in the southeast, this looks like moisture. And another good news is it looks like next week in general is going to be pretty active, as another area or low pressure develops out the Gulf and shoots back over the southeast, potentially around this time next week, delivering even more rain. And then check it out, for you folks in Colorado, Denver, maybe y'all's first snow of the year. Denver has not yet got snow yet, so really impressive to see. But moving forward here, if you look at the European as far as snowfall, and this is just the operational run. Excuse me, still fighting this cold, guys, but I'm about over it. Seeing Canada's getting, hit pretty good with snow. But here comes that system right here. It's not a lot, but this would definitely be a nice little holiday snow for New York City, not Baltimore, to Boston, and areas of Pennsylvania and northern New Jersey. Not very impactful, but several inches at most if the European was, to happen. If you look at the latest GFS, goes through the same time period. And it's a lot more aggressive, a lot more snow, but the snow is more north. So it shows, snowfall totals well over 10 inches, maybe to a foot, especially in the mountainous areas of the northeast of Vermont, New Hampshire, upstate New York, and all of Maine, per the GFS, getting hit pretty good. Still shows some light snows in Pennsylvania, but altogether areas more south, especially in New York City, not hit as hard. It looks like Baltimore gets hit per the GFS with some front end snow. And if you look at the EPS ensembles per the European ensembles, sorry, I can't talk as crisp as I normally do, because when I start talking too fast in these videos, I'm really stuffed up and then my nose gets clogged up. But here you go. They've actually trended a little bit more south. You got a nice little spread now moving into Long Island, a little bit further south into New Jersey, and a pretty decent mean. If you live in Boston to New York City, 2 to 3 inches. That's pretty good in a pattern like this, when you don't have a favorable pattern. I will show you this. I will be showing this more and more as we get more into the winter months. But basically, this is the National Weather Service. It's a product they use. It's the day 4 to 7 winter weather outlook. It's kind of equivalent to day 4 to 7 of severe weather outlook. Until we get inside of 4 days, it doesn't get really precise. But this is basically the probability of exceeding a 1/4 inch liquid equivalent to snow or sleet. So basically a 1/4 inch of snow is a lot different than a 1/4 inch of rain, right? A 1/4 inch of snow, depending on how cold it is, what kind of snowfall rates you got. That could be 6 inches of snow. It just depends. But, from Boston to New York, New York City, right now you're just kind of sitting in that 10 to 30% chance range. But, in these darker greens, it's 30 to 50% chance range, a little bit more inland. So watch to see if that increases or decreases for sure. But looking at the GFS here, what we're going to show here is basically pieces of energy, and the pieces of energy we're dealing with. And we'll look at it per the GFS, because I feel like it's the best way to look at this. And we're really just talking about the second system right here. Like I said, you want to know about the severe weather, stay tuned. We're about to get to that. But this is that northern stream energy. This is that southern stream energy. Per the GFS, the northern stream energy is highly amplified. It's much more robust. This southern stream energy doesn't really catch up with it. If it does, then this could be a pretty big system. It really could. This could basically end up being much stronger. Whatever high pressure does, we're not sure. This could pull a little bit more cold air in, and this could be a lot more heavier snow for certain areas. Right now, this is just providing a little bit of aid to this northern stream, but the northern stream is basically all the energy in this system, and it moves through, and then that little piece moves through, and this little piece right here is what actually provides our moisture. Well, that piece also, our moisture in the southeast for late next week if it was to happen. So let's talk a little bit more about the first system. So we talked more about the second, and then we're jumping now to the first system. So it's more into Monday. So one thing about the first system is it's going to promote a severe weather threat in the southeast. But after it does that, and we're kind of going backwards in a sense in this entire video, but after it does that, it's going to, this frontal boundary is going to move into the northeast. It's going to provide a pretty decent low-level jet or just a nice 850. The 850s will be screaming. That means there'll be a lot of winds just above the surface. So I really think there's going to be a threat for strong winds Monday into Tuesday night in the Northeast, in the southern New England. I'm talking 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, and just a strong wind event with this frontal boundary. I think winds will be screaming out the southwest. It'll be very warm for this time of the year in the 60s, and then the frontal boundary will pass and temperatures will drop like a rock behind this system. So if you're in the Northeast, very, very windy conditions Monday into Tuesday. So watch out for that. So let's talk about the severe weather threat. Right now, already at day 3, there's a marginal risk. That's level 1 out of 5. So there's plenty of time for this to still trend up. But this is stretching from around Houston all the way through Arkansas, through areas of Missouri, heck, even Illinois, very small area, Kentucky and Tennessee. Why we have this, and we'll be able to go into the short-range models tomorrow, like the NAM and the HRRR. But why we have this is we have a nice trough injection right here, kind of injecting itself into the Mid-South, the western areas in the Mid-South. This brings a flow in the 850s, basically just above the surface, out the southwest, and then you have some directional flow also. So I'm not really saying it's going to be a tornado threat, but we could have what looks to potentially be a damaging line of storms that could potentially develop more of a linear threat, which is more like a squall line or a line of storms. It could have some kinks in it, some spin-ups. Like I said, we won't know more on this until really tomorrow, but this is definitely a lot of wind energy if you just kind of look at this as verborism. One thing you like to look at with these at this range is dew points, and you have a spike in dew points really far north, and when you have low-level moisture, higher dew points, that's another ingredient for severe weather. But look at all this more dry air that surges in right behind this. So this is a pretty nasty boundary between really dry air and really moist air. So not normally, but sometimes you can have some severe weather with certain situations like that. You look at Cape. Cape isn't going to be that strong. You might have Cape values, upwards. It might spike upwards to, 800, 1,000, 1,500 joules per kilogram. But like I said, we won't know a whole lot about this until we get into tomorrow night. So watch out for severe weather. Prepare for it for Sunday into Monday for areas, or especially around Arkansas. But we'll get more about that tomorrow. That's all I got, guys. I'm starting to run out of breath. But y'all have a great night. I'll talk to you guys more, and stay safe.